Okay, good afternoon to everybody. A little bit technical problems with the projector, but now everything works. So I'm Kimmo Järvensivu, and I'm coming from the Finnish software company IMWorld. And IMWorld is actually, that one of the global top 10 ECM providers. And for example, Gartner has ranked us as the only visionary product in the ECM market. And actually, that's the reason that why I'm here talking about the ECM future, how the Gartner sees the situation, and why we have been ranked as a visionary in the ECM space. And I also have here our local partner, Dataware. So Mr. Viorel Balea is here as well, that if you want to ask some questions in Romanian language. For me, you can send the questions in Finnish or in English. But the thing that that we have noticed in the discussions with our customers, with our partners, and with analysts, that there always raises up one major topic in the information management challenges. Of course, there are many, but the biggest one is this one, that the normal corporates, where they are storing the data at the moment, it's fragmented in so many different repositories, and it's difficult to find the information from there. Because it might be that, for example, the legal department is using the Documentum open text. The project management people might be using these new cloud-based solutions, so Box, Dropbox. Maybe the sales is storing the information still to the network folders, and maybe marketing is using the SharePoint. And actually, that these information sources are not connected anyway. And if you would need to know, for example, from some companies, your customers, all the proposals, all the invoices, you would need to check it from many different places to get the total view what's happening with that company. And basically, that this one shows quite well the situation, that lots of small pieces of information, lots of different systems, almost impossible to find the information, and also low user adaptation, because people might be used to use Dropbox, but then if they would need to get some sales information, they would need to log into SharePoint, which has a different user interfaces, and it becomes difficult for the end users. And what the ECM vendors, so the enterprise content management vendors, have traditionally said, that we will sort out your problem by transferring all the information to our system. But actually, that's quite difficult, because currently, that you have hundreds of terabytes of data, and moving everything from several systems to one place, it might take years. And then on these existing systems, there's also lots of business logic what has been developed in those ones. And in a sense, we should also transfer the business logic here, which might be maybe not impossible, but at least difficult to make. And in a sense that that maybe the current practice is more or less the that we would be introducing another system. So previously we had 10, now we had 11, and then some data is here, some data can be there. But let's think about that one, that if this would be ideal world, what is actually needed? Basically, that we need the integrations between these existing assets. We would need the unified access, so the users could be accessing the information from one place, with the mobile, with the web, with the desktop applications. And we should also be able to prioritize the information, because it's huge amounts of data nowadays. So we should be prioritizing what is important and what is not. And of course, for the end users, it's the simple user interfaces that the end users will finally start to use the system. And then, what is the next generation ECM and the main three building blocks of that one? We will go a little bit more detailed on all of these ones in 5 minutes, but it should be the metadata driven, which means basically that all the objects in the systems should know what they are. So they should be knowing that they are invoices, they are customer information, and then we can link the attributes on those ones. Quite many of these existing ECM systems are still folder-based, so from the 1980s, C/something, and it's very difficult to link that information to the other systems because it's the folder-based hierarchy. And then, of course, I mean that we can provide all the basic ECM capabilities, workflows, version history with the metadata-driven system. And then also, this is quite important, it should be repository agnostic. So in a sense, I mean that when we describe those 10 systems, basically we should be still able to use those systems, but we should be also be able to search from all of these systems from one place. And then the system should also be intelligent, which means that one that I mean that previously the existing ECM tools, mainly the intelligent is in the user's hand. So the user will decide that this document is an invoice, this document is related to this company. But what about if the system could be suggesting that one to the users? You dropped an invoice to our system, the invoice is related to this company, and in a sense that I mean that bringing the artificial intelligence also building the next generation ECM. And if we look, all of these ones a little bit more detailed, so metadata driven. Like say that I mean quite many systems are still based on the old folder structures, and if you are storing something here, it's very difficult to find out that what is actually the document. But in our approach, or in the metadata-based systems, each object knows what it is. Like this one, that it's related to the website renewal project. The expiry date is on 2016. The company is ESTT Corporation. And then when we are having all of this metadata defined, so we have organized this unstructured data, which is videos, media, documents, whatever files. Each of these objects knows what it is. So then it's quite easy to link it to the systems which are usually in good shape in the corporates, so like the ERP and CRM. All of those ones have the database rows. And think about if you would need to link it to the folder structure, it would be quite difficult. Now we can from here ask that show us all the invoices which have been sent during the last 2 weeks to this company, and making the dynamic queries to the structured content. And then repository agnostic. Of course, I mean that there's a huge amount of the data now available in the corporates. And basically, we should be managing the content differently based on its value. Because quite often that I mean that we have emails, for example, which are not so critical to the business. We can keep it as unmanaged content, and we can find it with the full text search, finding the necessary information. But then we have also the managed content, which is business critical. And we should have the possibilities to classify all of this one with metadata. And currently, in the current systems, quite often you are doing it so that I mean that you are managing the unmanaged content with different system than the managed content. So for example here, it could be that you are putting to OneDrive all the information which is not so important, storing it in OneDrive, and then in the managed content it could be, for example, SharePoint, that the legal department puts all the contracts, because it's business critical information, to SharePoint. But what about then if the user makes a contract draft and he thinks that it's not important, so he's storing it to OneDrive. So actually, I mean that then these guys cannot find it anymore. But in our approach, because I mean that we are saying that what is unmanaged content, what is managed content, but we can do all the searches from one system. So from our point of view, what we are doing is that actually we are doing this multi-repository backend. So the storage place for the documents and objects can be anywhere. But then on the M-file side, we will have the core ECM capabilities, workflows, version controlling, annotations. We can search across the repositories. Is it managed content or unmanaged content? It doesn't matter. Our system will take care of that one. And then we are bringing also this automatic metadata, because it's a huge job to, for example, to put the metadata, for example, for all of the invoices in your company. Of course, somebody can do it by hand, but we can also do it automatically by analyzing the content of the file. And this is actually that what we would be achieving. It's the unified interface to all data and content. And you can see from here that, okay, we can bring the accounts, for example, from Salesforce or some CRM system, and then we can be searching all the documents related to Deloitte. And it can be residing in Box, in Dropbox, in SharePoint. Of course, I mean that, well, the user doesn't see that it's there, but we can also put it here as well, that user will see that where it is. But in a sense, he doesn't have to know where it is. And this is quite excellent for the companies, because you have one user interface, and then you can be searching across the repositories in the whole company. And then the intelligent part as well. Like I say that, I mean that it's quite a lot of job, of course, to put the metadata for all of the documents in your company. But we can make these metadata suggestions and then moving the content from unstructured to structured. And when it's structured content, so then you have the relationship that, okay, you know that the document is related to this customer, this project, and maybe this person, etc. And here is an example. Actually, I mean that it's a pity that this is the last presentation, because I mean that we also had the demonstration in downstairs, but you can also access DataWare if you want to see these ones in practice. But for example, for the invoices, if you are putting from the emails, putting to M-files this invoice document, so then the system will success, okay, it shows the preview, and then it success that, okay, this is either a receipt or this is purchase invoice. And if we select it's a purchase invoice, it will also bring these metadata suggestions that Autodesk, M-files, person Samppa Lahtinen, and some keywords. So each time an invoice comes to your company, you drop it to M-files, so it can be, I mean, that finding this information and filling it automatically, and then you have it as a structured content. Oh yeah, and then selecting Autodesk, Samppa Lahtinen, and maybe some keywords. But it's also, I mean, that we have lots of these different artificial intelligence and analysis methods. So it's also working for the pictures as well. So for example, in here, getting information that the man riding snowboard, and then some keywords related to that one. And I also tried that one with my picture and my dog, and it says white dog, male 37. And I'm quite happy that it says male 37 because I'm 49. So it took 12 years away from my age. So it's really good analyzer. I like it. Oh yeah, and then we can select those ones. But this is actually, I mean, the thing that, I mean, the Gartner, our customers, our partners are looking after. And although I say that, I mean, that this is more like a journey to the future, but actually, this is reality. This is the reality in our case. I mean, that downstairs, we had the network folder, SharePoint, M-files connected. We had the picture analyzer. We have the invoice analyzing part. We can access it with the mobile, web, desktop application, automatic metadata successions, searches across the repositories, and of course all the necessary ECM functionality as well. So in a sense that that this would be the end result, that you have the total 360 view to all of the data what you have in your company. And then of course having the virtual drive, search, metadata, dynamic views, version history, workflows, mobility, offline access, and the security aspects taken care of. And as the last one, actually this is the IMWorld slogan that that we are changing the way the world manages information globally. And here in Romania, we do it with DataWare. So if you want to see this one in practice, how it would work for your company, how it could be done, how we could utilize the shared folders, maybe SharePoint, do the integration. So please contact either me or DataWare, and we have some additional materials there in the back if you want to have this one. But it's something, although it's a journey to the future, but the good part is that the future is now. So we have it available.
Thank you very much, Kimmo. Do we have any questions for after this presentation? There.
Hi, I will talk in Romanian, okay?
Okay. Can you speak louder, please?
Datele trebuie să... Datele, dacă sunt existente deja în diverse sisteme de clouding.
Okay.
Trebuie să treacă întâi prin filtrul acestei aplicații sau această aplicație poate să ia toate datele și să le pună metadata la toate.
Okay. The question is if we have data in several sources, and we want to aggregate them. We have to do this in M-Files application, or we can add metadata directly to the files in, I don't know, SharePoint, for instance, or Dropbox,
Yeah.
or.
Basically, that if you are connecting, for example, the shared folders, you will see the files in M-Files. And then in M-Files, you can add the metadata to the system, to the files.
Deci, practic, datele trebuie să treacă prin...
If you are explain in Romanian.
Fișierele vor rămâne în repozitoriul în care au fost, fie în SharePoint, fie în folderul respectiv. M-Files le vede, le indexează conținutul și scanează folderele periodic și în momentul în care dorim să analizăm documentul, să extragem metadata, să apasă efectiv un buton, el analizează conținutul și populează acele propuneri de metadata pe care le-ați văzut pe ecran.
Voiam să spun că nu e musai să introduci întâi în M-File fișierele și după aceea să le pui în Dropbox.
Nu. Și încă ceva foarte interesant, ce mi-a plăcut când am văzut prima dată asta, este faptul că documentele, de exemplu, din folderele din rețea, rămân în folderele din rețea, dar în momentul în care M-Files le descoperă și îi spunem lui M-Files vede că este o factură, de exemplu, sau este, nu știu, un document, un contract, un draft de contract și așa mai departe, el va păstra versiunile chiar dacă documentele respective vor fi modificate din exteriorul aplicației M-Files. Deci dacă cineva se duce în folderul respectiv și modifică documentul, M-Files va crea automat o nouă versiune a documentului, păstrând fiecare modificare încât o nouă versiune. Deci pot să văd versiunile anterioare, lucru pe care în mod normal în foldere nu am cum să văd.
Yeah, and we can always try it with your data as well, because it's available.
Thank you very much, Kimmo.